This is an Irreverent podcast. Check out irreverent.fm for shows from all our friends.
Hello and welcome to Evangelical, a show exploring the world inside and outside the evangelical subculture. Today's date is Friday, August 3rd. Hello and welcome to Evangelical, a show exploring the world inside and outside the evangelical subculture. I'm your host, Blake Chastain. Today's date is Friday, August 30th, 2024, and I don't have a new interview for you today, but I thought I would publish a new little mini-sode about the latest PRRI study that was just published this week. Yesterday, Robert P. Jones, who leads the White Too Long newsletter, writes the White Too Long newsletter, shared some top-level findings from the 2023 PRRI survey, which is called the 2023 Census of American Religion. And I think that these findings are well worth your time. He initially posted this in a post on his own newsletter called 11 Facts and Charts from PRRI's 2023 Census of American Religion. And right out of the gate, Jones notes that white Christian America continues to shrink, while the ranks of the unaffiliated swell. These aren't vibes gleaned from an algorithmic social media feed. This is quantitative data based on 500,000 interviews. Further, this isn't just the youth being led astray by strangers on the internet, publishing podcasts, or using hashtags. They note that every age group has seen an increase in becoming unaffiliated. Yes, the age cohort that I'm a part of, the 30 to 49-year-olds who comprise a mix of Gen Xers and Millennials, has seen the largest increase in disaffiliation. But I'd also like you to consider that this age group was comprised of those who were raised in the increasingly politicized environment that followed the formation of the modern religious right. While I'm definitely making a correlation here, it is one based on my own personal experience, both as a podcaster who has helped document this growing disaffiliation, as well as just a regular human being who has seen the people in my own life move away from the religions of their youth, evangelical and otherwise. And yet, while I'm dwelling on my own cohort, the gray hairs, supposedly, of the church are also disaffiliating. In 2022, Christianity Today published a finding in an article describing that very phenomenon. Which brings me to my own speculation. Decades of institutional decay in both public and private sectors, coupled with a rapidly evolving dialogue about identity, means that individuals will likely not adhere to the same beliefs or affiliations for their entire lives. And I think we see that reflected in findings like those that were published in this recent survey. In my own life, I've gone to a number of Protestant churches and currently hold no strong affiliation with or regular attendance at any of them. But such patterns aren't limited to my fellow white ex-evangelicals. Online, I follow people who were raised atheist and are now practicing Christians, evangelicals who are now Catholic, former Christians who are now Wiccan, and people of other faiths who are now just simply secular. Everywhere you look, you can see people who have had faith, lost it, and found it again, or reconstructed a new way of life that doesn't adhere to any specific dogma. Most of our identity outside of where and to whom we were born is up for negotiation and exploration. I think that also includes our spiritual practice, which also envelops secularity, and also the communities that we find belonging in. But our ability to articulate this reality lags behind other aspects of ourselves. Collectively, we've become more open about discussing our gender and sexual expressions, our romantic and familial relationships, our neurodiversity, and so on. But belief in general and religion in particular, are not usually mentioned alongside the others, and I think increasingly they should be. Now, I don't pretend that this is some simple proposition. I know that it's a thorny problem. Shared belief provides bonds of commonality and nurture a sense of belonging. But what happens when you can no longer declare Jesus Christ as Lord or that there is no God but God? If you're listening to this, you likely know it's a rupture because communities of faith often have systems that exclude those who can no longer affirm what is deemed orthodox inside those systems. But instead of seeing this as some harbinger of doom, I do see it as a possibility. I'll even drag out a Tolkienism from my Lord of the Rings phase, eucatastrophe. And while it's not some cataclysmic, sudden thing like the final defeat of Sauron, the breakdown of these things means that new things might someday grow. And I explore the need for new metaphors in the latter portions of my book, which is less than a month away. You can find a link to purchase it or pre order it in the show notes here. But even for the purposes of this short episode here, we have an opportunity. We have opportunities to forge new forms of community, to find different types of belonging, to practice different types of neighborliness that aren't necessarily tied to whether or not we can speak a creed and mean it in our heart of hearts. But that regardless of that, that we can treat one another humanely, that we can find the good in each other, and that we can work for a common good. But that does require a lot of work. And I'm not saying that I can button up every single solution into a single episode of a show. If there's one thing that I've gleaned from so many conversations that I've hosted on this show, is that there's not a single tidy answer. We've actually all collectively left a place that tried to provide a tidy answer, that tried to prescribe a very particular type of life for all people. And life isn't so simple. Life is diverse. Life changes. Life has so many different permutations. And I think that means that we have an opportunity to change throughout our lifetimes. And I choose to see that as a form of hope. And I hope you do too. Yes, my book does catalog how white evangelicalism as we know it formed, how through the course of time it became increasingly political, how it has consistently rejected attempts at moderation and reform, and why it is a legitimate choice to leave a place like that. But these findings show that you're not alone in doing so. That there are people that are disaffiliating and they have not yet found something new. And I don't know what that new thing is yet. But I'm excited to see what comes up. And I hope you'll check out the book. I hope you'll subscribe to my podcast. I hope you'll subscribe to my newsletter because hopefully I can highlight some of the examples of people who have found new ways of being. So you can do that over at postevangelicalpost.com. You can subscribe for free or for $5 a month, $50 a year. You can pre-order my book, which comes out on September 24th. And you can come see me in person if you're in Illinois at Anderson's Bookshop in Naperville, Illinois on September 23rd for an early book event. And it'll be very exciting to have that there. You'll find all of that in the show notes, and I hope to have a new episode for you soon. But I hope that when you read things like these findings from PRRI, that you're not discouraged, but that you're encouraged that something new may be happening. I know I am. And I can't wait to explore that with you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for following along. I'll talk to you soon.